Hello, and welcome to Intelligent Pod, your weekly home for curious minds and big ideas. I'm your host, Sophie Lane, and today we're taking a deep dive into a question that's as thrilling as it is unsettling. Posthumanism, what comes after Homo Sapiens? Maybe you've heard the word posthumanism tossed around in science fiction shows, or seen headlines about artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, or even brain-computer interfaces. But what does posthumanism actually mean? And more importantly, where do we as humans fit into this future that seems to be approaching faster every day? Today, we're going to unpack the concept of posthumanism. We'll look at it from scientific, psychological, and cultural perspectives. I'll share an academic study that might surprise you and an anecdote that really brings this topic home. And of course, I'll leave you with some practical tips for navigating this rapidly changing landscape. So, pour yourself a cup of tea, settle in, and let's get started. First up, let's get on the same page. What is posthumanism exactly? At its core, posthumanism is a philosophical movement, a way of thinking about the world and our place in it. It asks, what happens when technology, biology, and culture converge to create beings that are fundamentally different from what we've always called human? It's not just science fiction anymore. From prosthetic limbs controlled by thought, to AI that can write poetry, to gene editing that could eliminate inherited diseases, posthumanism is fast becoming a reality. Now, let's ground this in some numbers. According to a 2023 Pew Research report, nearly 60% of Americans believe that technology will fundamentally change what it means to be human within the next 50 years. That's a huge shift in cultural perception. And it's not just in the United States. Similar trends are being reported globally, from Japan to Germany to Brazil. Okay, but what does post-human actually look like? Here's a quick thought experiment. Imagine you have a friend who's been fitted with a state-of-the-art bionic arm after an accident. This arm responds to her thoughts, even giving her greater strength than she had before. Is she still human? Most of us would say yes. Now imagine she also has a brain implant that connects her directly to the internet. She can Google something just by thinking about it. Still human? Now think about a future where her DNA has been edited to eliminate disease, and perhaps even to enhance her intelligence. At what point does she become posthuman? This is the heart of the posthumanism debate, not just what's possible, but where we draw the line between human and something else. Let's dig deeper into the perspectives that shape this conversation. First, the scientific angle. Advances in biotechnology, like CRISPR gene editing, are already allowing us to make targeted changes to the human genome. In 2018, the world was stunned when a Chinese scientist claimed to have created the first genetically edited babies. While this sparked outrage and ethical debate, it also signaled that the era of designer humans isn't just theoretical anymore. Then there's artificial intelligence. AI is now writing essays, composing music, driving cars, and even diagnosing diseases. Some experts, like Ray Kurzweil, predict that we're approaching a singularity, a point where artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence. If that happens, will AI become a form of post-human life? Now, let's switch gears and talk psychology. How do we, as individuals, feel about the idea of merging with technology? The answer is, it depends. A 2021 study from Stanford University found that people's willingness to integrate technology into their bodies, things like brain implants, varies widely and is often tied to cultural background, religious beliefs, and personal experiences. Some see these advancements as a way to overcome human limitations, while others worry about losing what makes us uniquely human. Culturally, posthumanism is a double-edged sword. On one hand, we're fascinated. Think of all the movies and books about cyborgs, androids, and enhanced humans. On the other, there's anxiety. What if we create beings more intelligent than ourselves? How will our values, laws, and relationships change? Let me share an academic study that really adds depth to this. In 2019, researchers at Oxford University conducted a survey across 20 countries. asking participants how they felt about using technology to enhance human abilities, like memory, strength, or even lifespan. Interestingly, most people supported using tech to restore lost abilities, such as sight or mobility. But support dropped sharply when it came to enhancements that went beyond normal human capacity. In other words, people are okay with technology making us whole, but uneasy when tech makes us something more. Now, let's bring in a real-life story. Meet Neil Harbison, often called the world's first cyborg artist. Neil was born colorblind, but he now has an antenna implanted in his skull that allows him to hear colors as musical notes. To Neil, this isn't just a tool, it's part of who he is. He says, "I don't feel that I'm using technology. I feel that I am technology." Neil's story challenges our very definition of humanity. Is he less human, or just a new kind of human? So what should we do with all this information? How do we navigate a future where the boundaries between human and machine, biology and technology, are increasingly blurred? Here are a few actionable ideas. First, stay informed. Technology is moving fast, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But the more you know about what's happening in biotechnology, AI, and ethics, the more empowered you'll be to make choices that align with your values. Second, start conversations. Talk with your friends, family, and colleagues about these issues. How do they feel about brain-computer interfaces, AI doctors, or genetic enhancements? These conversations help us collectively define what we want our future to look like. Third, advocate for thoughtful policy. If you have the opportunity, participate in community forums, vote in local elections, and support leaders who take ethical tech seriously. The future isn't just shaped in labs and boardrooms. It's shaped by all of us. And finally, reflect on your own values. What does it mean to you to be human? Is it consciousness, empathy, creativity? Our answers to these questions will guide us as we stand on the threshold of a post-human era. So to recap, today we explored posthumanism, the idea that humanity is on the verge of a profound transformation driven by technology. We looked at scientific breakthroughs, psychological studies, and cultural narratives. We heard the story of a real-life cyborg artist, and we considered how we might approach this future with openness and intentionality. As we close, here's something to ponder. Throughout history, humanity has constantly redefined itself in response to new challenges. Fire, language, agriculture, the internet. Each was once revolutionary, and each changed who we are. Posthumanism is the next chapter in that lone story. The question isn't just what comes after Homo Sapiens, but who do we want to become? Thank you so much for joining me today on Intelligent Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. That helps more curious minds find our show. You can find detailed show notes and further reading at intelligentpod.com. And I'd love to hear your thoughts or questions. Just email me at sophie@intelligentpod.com. Until next time, I'm Sophie Lane. Stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, the future is ours to shape.